My younger brother wants me to pay for his own wedding, but he does not want me to be involved. Am I the jerk for being upset? Before the story begins, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you can listen to more stories. I am a 31-year-old female who has a brother who's 29 and is getting married next year. We lost our mom in 2012 and our dad in 2016. We are each other's only living relatives. I have a good job. I earn a lot of money, £150,000 per year. My brother also has a good job, but doesn't earn anywhere near as much, £35,000. We were raised to always look after each other and to share. My partner and I are child-free. Over the years, I have paid for my brother's master's degree, paid the down payment on his house. Our parents rented, so there's no family home. I will also be paying for my future sister-in-law who's 26 and my brother to have future rounds of IVF. The sister-in-law works part-time and earns about $15,000 a year. Her parents are not well off. My brother asked if I could contribute to the cost of the wedding. I said I'd pay for it, as it is small with 100 guests, and set up a wedding account for them, into which I put £25,000, which they both have access to. Sister-in-law's entire family are involved as bridesmaids and groomsmen. My husband and I are guests. Brother and his future wife have been going around venues with her family, and I get emailed the costing if it's selected. I told my brother I don't mind paying for the wedding, but I feel really weird that everyone else is involved in the decision and I'm just involved with paying. Brother has said that I'm not our parents. I can't replace our parents, and that's why I'm not involved. Why can't I just do something nice without making him feel shit? I feel like an asshole for causing drama, but also feel taken advantage of. Am I the jerk? Moments later, the OP gave me an update to the post. This is what she said. This is in the UK, in Northern Ireland to be exact. $35,000 is a good salary. I don't have student debt to pay off because I didn't go to uni. I was in the military before becoming a commercial pilot. My brother's salary will increase as, at his company, he needed a master's to progress beyond his current rung. My sister-in-law works part-time because she has a medical issue. She will never be able to work full-time because of this. Related, it is unclear if this is impacting fertility. In NI, you get one round of IVF on the NHS, which they did. They paid for 2 more at $8,000 each. Apparently, her family paid for another and stipulated they wouldn't be able to afford to pay for a wedding if that was the case. Brother and sister-in-law have been emotionally through the ringer with fertility issues. It isn't a cynical attempt to get money. For all of y'all talking about adoption, there's some serious BS about my sister-in-law's illness, meaning they aren't attractive candidates. I am close with my brother, but do pay for things we do together. He has really been there for me emotionally, especially during some personal problems I experienced just before and after I left the military. Future sister-in-law was too. They didn't plan the engagement party. Sister-in-law's family did. And they didn't invite me because my husband and I are never available. We just have jobs that have us moving around a lot. Sister-in-law and brother were horrified. No one told them we hadn't been invited. They assumed we just didn't show up. But that was resolved and we had a lovely meal together instead. My husband is supportive of our financial assistance. We are also helping his sister with her college costs. Though, why she had to go to the US when we have university educations that don't cost an arm and a leg, right here, is beyond me. Also, any of you who have paid your way through an American degree, I salute you. I still don't know what to do, but I do think maybe I'm not setting him up for success as I hoped. And also that I do deserve some recognition, even if it's just privately from him. We'll keep you updated. Update 2. This whole thing got really big. So sorry I wasn't able to respond to everyone's comments, messages, etc. I spoke to brother and sister-in-law was saying she'd planned this with her brothers and sisters since she was a little girl. Her family knew her and what she wanted. And traditionally, weddings are about the bride, and the bride's family are heavily involved. I said that's fine, but traditionally, the bride's family also pay, and they are more than welcome to if tradition is so important. I said, traditionally, the groom's family are also involved. She said I was shaming her family for not being well off. I said that wasn't my intention, and that my brother's wedding is a big deal for my brother too, and for me as his only family. And to be honest, we've had a shit time of it, so a nice occasion would be good. She said she understands that, but we don't have the same taste, and she didn't want to feel pressured into changing anything she had planned. I said I wouldn't ask her to change anything. I'd just like to come with, so I don't feel like an ATM. As you can tell, this conversation isn't going anywhere. I said I'd like to give a speech at the reception in lieu of my dad to welcome her to the family, and she said, well, my dad will be welcoming Steven to our family, so that won't be necessary. Sister-in-law isn't interested in seeing me or treating me like family. This is clear. So then, sister-in-law's mother calls me and is like, oh, hey, we were thinking you and your husband would like to help us send them on honeymoon. I think it would be nice if it came from both sides. I lost it. I said, did she not think me paying for the entire wedding was enough? She said she had no idea that I was paying. She just assumed it was my brother, which, let's be clear, makes no sense. Where are they gonna find $25K lying around when they've been saving for each round of IVF? So at this point, I'm raging. I mean, wine in my pajamas raging. Call brother. Told him the situation. Says he didn't know they hadn't been told I was paying. I was like, isn't that just the default assumption at this point? Bank of sister is paying. He said he appreciated everything I've done for him, and that sister-in-law and her family just don't realize how much I've done and continue to do. He says he will sort it. Brother smooths things over and asks me how I would like to be involved. I said, in all honesty, the fact that it's taken several rows and a thread on Reddit for him to realize this got pretty big. There were YouTube videos that I wasn't being treated with respect is hurtful, and it should not take this level of drama to be included in my only family member's wedding. I said I would just attend as a guest. They can have sister-in-law's dream wedding, but that I will be taking a step back in general. I said I love him, I will always support him, I'll continue to support with the IVF. But otherwise, my financial assistance is done. Education, house, wedding. It's over for them now. Brother said that's okay with him and asked if stepping back means we won't see each other as much. I said no. I'm still his sister. Of course we will. But this has really upset me and left me feeling like you and my sister-in-law don't value our relationship. This went on for a while. I said I'm not trying to ruin his wedding. I'm not going NC. I'm just going to be a sister from now on and stop trying to do what I think mom and dad would have done if they had the chance. We got into it about the pressure and obligations I felt since they passed. All very promising. I think I'm going to talk to a counselor about all of this. Lots of it is unprocessed grief and an unreasonable thought in my mind that if my brother doesn't want for anything, then he won't be sad and won't feel the absence of our parents as much. We both agreed that this is for the best for us both. So, was I the jerk? Personally, I don't think you're the jerk. You are not his parent, but let's face it, you have certainly financially supported him like one, in so many different ways. And it doesn't sound like you are trying to control things, just want to be included the same as sister-in-law's family has been, which is fair. He wants to cut you out of even being involved. Then he doesn't need your money. He has it right. Now that he is going to be a great big married adult, I think it is time you cut off your support and let him be the independent person he is. How would you handle it? Was she a jerk or not? Let me know in the comments. It's basically my wedding, said the Karen. This is a story about my sister-in-law's Karen mother, who decided to fix her own daughter's wedding choices. These fixes almost killed her own daughter. Here's what happened. The cast for this will be myself, Alice, who is my sister-in-law, Helen, who is Alice's mother, Ron, who's Alice's husband and my brother, and lastly, there's Fred and George, who are two of my older brothers. To set the scene, the wedding was set to happen on a farm run by my Aunt Rose. This farm is set up to be photo-ready for weddings and events that people wish to have there. It comes with a hefty price tag for a rental, and for her gift to Ron and Alice, Aunt Rose donated the venue and the on-site lodge for all of the guests. Her children donated their time to clean and set the venue up. Her husband donated his cooking ability. Other family members provided the ingredients, and there wasn't a whole lot for the bride and groom to actually pay for. The wedding dress was made by Alice, her sister, and two of our cousins. The most expensive thing the pair purchased were the rings. Most people would be happy to spend so little for a wedding, but the mother of the bride was a problem from day one. She had to have her say in everything. Just no one listened. It wasn't her day. It was Alice's day. She got progressively more angry as the family went with Alice's choices and not her ideas. Alice got to design everything, including the wedding cake. Due to her own allergies, she did not want any coconut on her cake. Pretty straightforward request, right? She had plans for a beautiful naked cake decorated with berries and a very nature-based look. The family adored Alice, but it was very clear that without needing to say anything, we all tuned out Helen and her terrible demands. Alice had ordered sunflowers and an array of orange and yellow roses and other flowers. They arrived before the rehearsal dinner and were put in the walk-in fridge to keep them looking good for the following day. Helen got very emotional when she saw the flowers that night. Fred said he had a bad feeling in his gut when Helen went off just before the rehearsal started. He didn't get to stop her or catch her, but she had gone into the kitchen and snapped the heads off of the sunflowers. Helen didn't want sunflowers in her daughter's wedding photos. To not stress out the bride or groom, Fred put a text out to the family that had supplied the flowers. He explained that he had left the rehearsal about 6 minutes after Helen had, and found the sunflowers all beheaded. The family member agreed to replace all of them and come over extra early before the wedding with the needed flowers. She also requested that he save the sunflower heads and they could do something with the beheaded ones on the dining tables for the reception. Crisis 1 averted. However, while Fred was dealing with the sunflowers, I was dealing with another crisis altogether. Helen was standing off to the side of the event after finishing the meal. She was on the phone, and like my brother, I found a feeling of wrongness in my gut, so I wandered to listen in. She was talking to her husband, Alice's stepfather, on the phone. She was saying what a great surprise this would be for Alice and how excited Alice would be to see her stepfather. I stepped into Helen's space and told her point blank, if that man showed up, he would be leaving with more holes than God intended. Helen scoffed off the threat until she saw the look in my eyes. She told her husband she would call him back before hanging up. She told me that she could invite her husband. After all, it was thanks to him Alice even met her future husband. She would be so thrilled to have him walk her down the aisle instead of Alice's own father. It was only right, after all. Who wouldn't want someone who abused them so badly they ran away and got rescued by a stranger at their wedding? I looked over my shoulder and made eye contact with George. He sensed the brewing trouble and responded in the way only George ever responds with. He brought her a fruity sweet drink and asked if there was a problem. She drank down the drink as she told him her woes of how I was so cruel to her. He patted her arm and took her off to the side, where he proceeded to keep her glass very full. I went and warned my uncle to shut the gate prior to the wedding, and when he found out what was going on, he insisted he would keep one of his sons by the front gate just in case. The party was winding down as the bride and groom separated for the evening. George kept filling up the woman's glass, talking to her as if he was the most sympathetic person to her woes. The drunker Helen got, the more she spilled. She admitted about the sunflowers because they were such an ugly flower, and her daughter didn't know better. However, around drink 4, she admitted that she'd fixed the stupid cake she'd seen in the fridge. George acted like he hated the cake as well, to get out what he could from her, as he found out this woman had wanted coconut cake, the thing her daughter was allergic to. Badly allergic to. Turned out she had bought a few tubs of coconut frosting from the store and spread it over the base cake layer. It was around 3 a.m. when this revelation came out. George kept piling her with drinks as he led her towards the room she was staying in. He told the family via text to check the cake immediately once he got her into bed, with the plan to let her just sleep through the morning wedding. She blabbed about how bland the food had looked, and she'd made it all better. Then she passed out without further explanation. All of the food was being inspected by the family as Aunt Rose, her husband, and kids set to work with the siblings to fix everything. The cake needed to be remade. The poorly spread coconut frosting had completely ruined the cake. Family members were woken up, while the bride, groom, and wedding party were left alone to sleep. George said he would keep an eye on Helen and fix things with her husband. He was going to send the man somewhere completely different from the wedding venue. The family came together with 12 cars leaving the ranch to go home for various replacements. There was a berry hunt at 4 in the morning, new fish, new bread being made, a new order of steaks being tenderized and marinated, along with a dozen other things. One of my cousins was digging up new sweet potatoes while his wife and son gathered fresh eggs. Cars came and went all night. I told Alice her mother was sleeping off a hangover while she was getting dressed for the day, and she accepted it rather quickly. She had been told by some of her family that she had to invite her. As she tugged her stockings up, she told me she couldn't believe her wedding was here. She was getting to marry her Prince Charming in Ron, and she was trying not to cry before getting her makeup done. Helen missed the wedding, despite her sister and her other daughter trying to wake her up for it. I'm glad to say Alice was in the dark about what happened on her wedding day, until she came back from her honeymoon. Who told her what Helen had done? Why, Helen herself. Helen screamed at her daughter the first day they returned from the honeymoon, and told her how disappointed she was with the wedding she slept through. She wanted Alice to dress in her wedding dress and take photographs with her mother and her stepfather. Ron put a stop to that real fast. No way was her stepfather ever coming near her again. Helen was blocked, and Alice tried to figure out what all had happened at the event in those wee morning hours. We told her, with everyone coming forward with what they had done while the couple slept and rested for their wedding day. Alice thanked us all, and Ron told everyone at the next family get-together that she couldn't understand how we'd been so calm about it. Aunt Rose told her that in a crisis, you can't lose focus. Make a plan, follow through, and things will work out all right. Alice took that advice to heart. She's a wedding planner now, and she is a stone wall for brides against their mothers, or any influence besides the husband. It is their day, and that's it. Everyone else can shut up and listen to the bride and groom. I can't believe your sister-in-law's mom is so insensitive. Not just to anyone either, to her own daughter. This is her daughter's special day, so it makes sense that she would want the best for her. But the best is giving your daughter what she wants, not going behind her back to make the wedding more suited to yourself. What a great extended family you have, however. The fact you guys all managed to sort everything out together quick enough for the wedding to go ahead as planned is incredible, and I'm sure Alice really appreciates you all for that. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Check out the other videos on your screen right now. Otherwise, you're definitely the jerk.